And people may have a okay to record. Please click on that link. And it's 7 o'clock. So this is a presentation for you, Jasel, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If you want to come off mute anytime to ask questions or discuss any of the topics we're going to cover, please do. But do I have your name correct?
Yes, you said it correctly. And if you were speaking to me earlier and I didn't respond, I just sat down at my computer. I had signed on and I just sat down. But it is correct.
That's okay. So that's fine. Well, we're off to a roaring start. And I'm recording this meeting because I will also then post a link on the in the classroom so that the comments that we have tonight and any questions that you have that are answered, that'll be available for everybody. And just so that you know, there's also a 10 o'clock session Eastern time tomorrow. It's going to cover the same things. You're welcome to join that if you want to, but it's only necessary to uh, partake in one. So let me give you some thoughts about why the SCM Globe is an integral part of the supply chain management training and classroom instruction. the There's as there usually is in life, there's an agenda, and then there's a hidden agenda, and no different. There's a hidden agenda for this. The main agenda is that the simulation model for Cincinnati Seasonings does depict a very straightforward and simplified supply chain network consisting of a factory, a distribution center, transportation routes, and retail stores. And balancing the inventory and managing the deliveries so that you don't have stockouts, but you're not increasing costs by having too much product at a place where it's not selling. Those are all sort of the primary elements of supply chain management. You can, when you get through this class, and some people are going to have a little bit more of a challenge with the simulation than others, and that's to be expected, depending upon what their background and experience with modeling is. Um, but you can, as you get to the end of ACM 640, you can think about, well, this is what it took to manage one commodity or product at 3 retail locations, and during project 2 it becomes 5 retail locations, with one factory, one distribution center. You can imagine how complex it could become if you are a major retailer such as Amazon, which in many cases it's not really its own products that's being managed, or um, uh, uh, um, not Kmart. This is embarrassing. When you get to be old like me, things just drop out of your head. That other big retailer called Walmart. And so, they've got thousands of locations, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of stock keeping units. And trying to manage all that effectively is just doing the supply chain management modeling that you're doing for this class uh, thousands of times over. And in many cases, artificial intelligence can handle that and support that. The reason why we don't leave it to artificial intelligence from the gate to take care of our supply chains, at least as far as giving a basic introduction to it, is because it's the same principle as with the arithmetic in second and third grade. You got to know why, when you add two numbers together and get a sum, that's the correct result. And if you always take for granted that the output of artificial intelligence is correct, which sometimes it may not be, then you're laying a trap for yourself. So you got to understand the basic principles, and then of course, once you understand the basic principles, then you can feel more confident about utilizing tools and such things as artificial intelligence to do some of the day-to-day monitoring and managing of a network. I mentioned the hidden agenda. That is, to me, equally important because, and that is that you're being put into a group with people that you probably have never had any contact with before. You're being asked to work that team to come up with solutions or come up with project reports. I've not really reviewed the capstone course for acquisition and contract management, but my expectation is that's one of the things in the capstone course is that you're taking all the curriculum that you've had up to that point and applying it to case studies and doing analysis and then reporting on that. And so supply chain management is just one element, but an important one in any considerations that you give to those case studies. But the other aspect is, so here you are with a team that you've never worked with before. You're being asked to take on roles such as editor or doing research or whatever else may be the case. Everybody is expected to do the simulation. That's why everybody has a user ID and password for Scm Globe. But the idea is that 3 minds in most cases are better than just one. And so if you have two other people to collaborate with and compare your results and decide which of the 3 simulations that were run is the best possible solution for your team, then you go ahead and write up the narrative and you've completed the project. The other aspect about the hidden agenda is throughout your career, you're going to be confronted with new software, new applications that you've never seen before. What's available now is not going to be is going to be surpassed in 5 years or 10 years. You're going to have entirely new systems. And so a lot of times when that takes place within a workplace, the team members are expected to utilize an online user guide or maybe have some basic training, such as a webinar like we're doing now, to learn the elements of how that system works. But then they're off and running. And Scm Globe provides a lot of very useful tools that are very true to the nature of what you'll find in your career. Excel spreadsheets, simulation, trying to optimize, trying to do a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, barrier and aids analysis, risk analysis, and all of these things. These are all part of what you need to do for successful project completion. And so working with your team, you're going to work on it. A lot of the things that are in the discussion tabs, that's all fair game for including in the projects. You don't necessarily have to be the originator of everything. You read, you think that's something that you either want to try to improve your network the next time around, or that you think it's relevant towards a project report. As long as you're providing proper citation for it, that's all fair game. And that can save a lot of creative writing. But that said, any resources that you choose to get online, or if you look at each week, I'm presenting it's just a PowerPoint presentation slides. I haven't gotten a oral narrative to go along with it, as well as some readings. That's all supplemental information that if you find that some of that's relevant for the project, that's all fair game. So anyway, that's the background about why we're doing the simulation and what the expectations are. Again, working as a team, only one person of the team will go ahead and post the results of the simulation and the project report into the assignment folder. And then when I comment upon it, either as a draft, you're welcome to submit a draft several days before the due date, or if you choose to just go ahead and submit a final assignment, that's fine. however you all want to do it. I will be providing comments based upon the rubrics for that particular project. And so it's up to the person who posts the project to go back and review the comments with the team for possible improvement for the next project, or as takeaway learning for what to do in the future when they're confronted with similar topics and issues in their career. So before I go very much further, Jason, is there any other questions that you have at this time? And if not, we'll do some basic items with Mr. Habakkuk.
There you
Sorry,
go.
I'll get it one of these days. This is
No
not
one
my
gets it
first
right.
time
You're
around the
good.
block with you either. With your assistance. So, Jason, what's on your mind?
So, you mentioned we could submit draft submissions a few days before the final assignment is due. Is that submitted in the same folder as the final assignment, or is that like emailed over to you, or how does that exactly work?
That goes into the same assignment folder because you can upload multiple documents into the same assignment folder. You can do a draft. If you want to do a second draft and then you do a final, that's all good. You can have attachments there, such as where you've imported the data that we'll talk about into a 3-store or a 5-store Excel spreadsheet to show profit and loss. All that goes into the folder. The advantage for both the team as well as me is that if I've reviewed your draft and provided comments, then when the final is submitted, it's all in one place for me to look at and then actually do the evaluation. Now, there's point by point items that I would be looking at for the final paper. I usually do not provide that for the draft. I provide some general comments of where I think things could be improved or things to consider in the draft. And I do not assign a score at that point. But yes, it all goes into the same folder. You should not send me an email unless you're having a problem, either with the assignments or with another team member that seems to be non-responsive. That's a different issue. Bring it to me, bring it to my attention. I'll work with you one-on-one on that. But all the project reports go into the assignment folder.
Okay, thank you. Understood. That's all. That's the only question I had so far.
Okay, all right. Well, what we'll do. So let me ask you, did you have any problems? What have you been able to do so far with the simulation? Have you been able to log in, load the simulation, run it for at least 30 simulation days? What's the status of that?
Yeah, so I had no issues logging in. Well, no issues logging in. When I originally tried to sign up, I used my UMGC email address, and it didn't work, and it asked for a payment. But then I signed up again using my personal email address that's listed as the primary email address for my UMGC account, and that was the email address that I was registered as. So it was solved within like 10 minutes of just using a different email. So no issues there. And I was able to run um, uh, the simulation. It took me about. I actually made a trial log. I have that open right now. It took me 14 trials of tweaking things here and there before I got to the 30-day mark. Before the simulation failed. That is where I'm at, and I did make contact with my group and shared that with my group, and they'll be running the simulation as well. And when they're done with that, at some point this week, we're going to compare and per your feedback or your response to my discussion post, we'll take the best results and use that for project one.
Okay, well, it's great that you've been able to get through it all, that you've got at least 30 days of data. I'm not necessarily going to ask Ben to go show how to log in then, because I think that's well documented in the online user guide. If you were able to get it, if somebody else has a question, maybe they'll call in tomorrow night and then we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to make this meeting longer than necessary. Have you seen where there's a three-store template in the online user guide into which you can import a CSV file of data from your simulation?
No, also I wasn't particularly looking for that. I might have saw it, but I wasn't intentionally looking for that, so I haven't.
Okay, well, that's what I'd like to focus on. Um, if one thing I will say, it's interesting that you had about 14 iterations before you finally got through. I've seen as few as five, depending upon how much money somebody throws at a problem to increase space or increase transportation runs. Obviously, when you're throwing money at something like that, willy-nilly, you're going to increase the loss. You may be much more judicious and showing a smaller operating loss than one might otherwise expect. But until you import your data into the three-store template, you really don't know what the net profit percentage is for Cincinnati Seasonings. And that becomes, in my view, the central element that any corporation management is most interested in. Are we making money or are we not? And just looking that you got all the way to 30 days, that's success, but it's not answering the question, are we profitable or not? And in the course of doing that, when you start looking at the information that comes out of that three-store template, then you can focus on other areas that you can improve during project two when you add two more stores, or project three when you go around and seek a better solution overall to, if you haven't made a profit up to that point, to do what you can for optimization or improvement to reach the holy grail of profitability. So, Ben, I think what we'll do is we'll skip over a lot of that initial stuff, but I do want you to show how to, number one, save a simulation, because Jaisal, the simulation is not backwards compatible. If you go in and you decide that you want to make a major change, it's like a fork in the road, and you start going down a direction that you suddenly find is not going to be very productive, you can't back up unless at that fork you went ahead and created a save state for your simulation. So that is something that I'd like to go ahead and have Ben demonstrate after he's opened it up. And then another thing that I'm also going to mention, another student had posted, well, one of the things that we could do is reduce demand at the stores, and that will eliminate a lot of the problems. I want to put it to rest that demand is an independent variable. You don't touch it. It's a default value. You work with whatever demand is for a retail store. And as I mentioned in a posting, I said that you may be able to try to improve it with marketing or advertising, but the real decision maker is the customer who comes into the store and decides what they want to buy and how much they want to buy. So that's the source of demand, and you really cannot control that. So if anybody ever has the thought about going in and trying to go ahead and change demand as a solution, yeah, you could do that. That's called gaming the system. It's not teaching you anything, and it really is not what you should be doing. The better, the more instructive approach is to go ahead and to adjust production, the location of stock at facilities, the transportation links to handle that inventory, and the size of the retail stores and things like that. So anyway, Ben, I'll let you go back and focus on how you create a save state.
Of course, of course. So first of all, my name is Ben. I'm the representative for Scm Globe. Thank you for having me, Frank. Um, you can see on my account management page that you have as well. I have a list of models. You might only have one or two, but you can save any of them at any point in time, and it would save that point in time in which the model has been changed to. So if you just made one change, like in increased manufacturing or anything like that, you would save your last change. It's very easy to save your point in time. You just click on save next to your model. You can call it anyway, anything you'd like. We can call it save state 1 if I'd like to, and click on save. And if I scroll down to the bottom table where it says save states at the title, you'll see save state 1. And we can either download it if we want to and send it to your professor if you'd like. You can delete it and you can restore it back. So if you're in your active model, you made some mistake and you don't know how to go back, you can just restore an older save that you made. So just click on restore and you'll see save state 1 at the top of my list up here. So it's very easy.
What I also suggest is, Jason, you can share your simulation with your teammates but don't do it until they've actually done it. I don't want you doing the work for them. They're not going to learn very much, and that's not fair to you. But you can also export a JSON file. That's
Yeah,
right.
just by
Thank
clicking
you for
on
the
download.
prompting. And you can attach that to an email. Now, unlike a lot of files that when you get an email, you double click on it and it suddenly opens up. No, that doesn't work with a JSON file. You've got to import it into the application and then open it from there. So you'll create it here. It'll come to you, and then you attach it to an email, and then you can send it to anybody else, and then they can open it, and it'll be just like they're looking over your shoulder on your computer with the simulation that you actually did with all the settings. So if you could show that, Ben, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So after you save state like we just did before. You can just click on download save state and it would download a JSON file to your computer. It's a very small file. And if you received a file or you'd like to upload a file that you downloaded for some reason, you just have to drag it up here to the table. And you'll see it at the top of your save states. And then all you have to do is click restore, and it'll be at the top of your table of active models that you're working with.
Okay. The next thing I think we should do is the demonstration of the, thank you for the thumbs up. I like that, Jason. So the next thing I think that we should do is talk about the three-store template. And so if you can open one of the supply chains that you've done that runs for a little bit more than 30 days, show how to trim the data, how to import it into the three-store template, and then we will then discuss where the net profit and loss is. Sorry about the phone ringing in the background. I'm not going to take it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so you can see my simulation running for now. It will stop at just a little bit after day 30. And after it stops, I can show you how to get your data, how to trim it, and how to put it into a P&L report. All right, so you can see on...
Well, I was going to also mention, notice the upward slope One of the tips that I would offer is when you're trying to get to a later project or even this one, if you can manage it so that the slope is relatively level, it's not running up or declining, then that is going to be your best solution, because then you've got supply pretty much equaling demand or input equaling output or purchases equaling the amount that's been produced. So that little graph there about the slope is something that's very significant. It's something that you can watch for each retail store location as well as a distribution center. Okay, back to you, Ben.
Right. So on that same graph, you can see the days on the x-axis, and if I hover all over the last day, you'll see that I ran it till day 31. And then what I can do is click on Export Results to Excel, and it'll download just raw data with my from my simulation. So you'll see it right now as soon as it loads. It's just raw data per day, on hand, demand, out and in, and production. But you can see on column A that I've ran it till day 31. And we don't want that included in our analysis. We just want to look at 30 days. So what we would do is click the row and just delete that. So it says day 30, and we're going to have to do that for each table out here. Make sure all of these day 31s have to be deleted. The entire row needs to be deleted, not just the values. All right. So I deleted all of the extra days. So now in each of these tables, I'm running from day 0 to day 30. No more day 31s. But this is not the most useful data for us humans. There's just a lot going on per day. There's a lot of days here, a lot of different tables. We want to use this to we want something to process this into a useful format for us, so we can come up with results and have an idea of what's actually going on overall. If I go back to SCM Globe, you can click on the Help button. It's the big blue button, and it'll open the online guide. On the online guide, you want to scroll down until you see Analyzing Simulation Data on the right side of your screen. So I'll try to highlight it right now. Analyzing Simulation Data under Supply Chain Modeling and Simulation Logic. So click on that, and then scroll all the way down until you see the reporting templates available for download. So reporting templates available for download. And in here, you'll see the 3 and the 5-store P&L reporting templates. We'll be working with the 3-store. Frank, I don't believe they're moving to the 5-store at any point, correct?
We do, just so that everybody knows who's listening to this, or JSOL as you are watching this. For project 1, you're doing the 3-store. Then for projects 2 and 3, you use the 5-store. Ignore the 6-store, the 3-store with multiple products and all of that. Those are for other courses that are offered, but not for ACM 640. Basically, the 2 that Ben has highlighted is going to be what you want to focus upon.
All right, so let's work with the 3-store P&L reporting template. If I click on it, it'll open a Google Sheets, which I'm going to download as Excel. Let's open it. And in this Excel file, at the bottom, you'll see that I have 2 sheets. So I have the P&L reports and KPIs, and we have the simulation data, which, if you've noticed, is very similar to the simulation data that I downloaded from my own model. It's the same thing. The P&L report sheet, it just looks at the data from the simulation data sheet, and it generates the different metrics that you can see on my screen right now. So it's very easy to generate. All you do is go to the simulation data sheet, highlight everything, delete everything, and take your data, highlight everything, copy, paste it there. And that's it. If I go back to the P&L report, you'll see how horribly bad I'm doing. But of course, I created that specific instance to run for 30 days plus, no matter what. I am not a very good supply chain manager, apparently. I hope you are better than me. But it's very easy. All you have to do is just keep pasting your results in the simulation data sheet, and the P&L report will automatically generate um, all of the formulas are already in here. You can see your gross profit here in percentage form. You can see it in value form, your expenses. You can see which stores or facilities are costing you a lot and why they're costing you a lot. Is it storage? Is it transportation? Um, this is essentially how you generate a P&L report with SCM Globe.
Okay, so this is all, JSOL, and again, anybody watching this recording, this is all of the important information that you need to really look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as well as to think about where, when you try to get to a later project, where you need to make further improvements to try to change losses to profitability. I do have a question, Ben, for you. Now, one of the spreadsheets also creates an economic order quantity. And if that's a different template, if you can show where that is, because later on, I'm stressing usually by project 2 or project 3 that they try to look at the EOQ for a particular store and use that as a basis for trying to adjust the transportation and size of the stock room and such as that.
So you were asking about the a different reporting template?
I think there's a different
Mhm.
spreadsheet that shows economic order quantity on it.
I'm not sure about that, Frank, if I'm being honest with you. I'll have to check and get back to you.
Okay, all right, okay. I believe it's in the online user guide because I've given some people on where to look. Okay, that's fine. So JSOL, that's going to be an integral part of your project report. And when you're trying to decide among your teammates whose solution is working better, it's going to be best if everybody imports it into the profit and loss template. And then you look at the gross profit percentage, and whoever has the smallest loss is probably the one to go with. That said, I just want to make it clear that during the course of my evaluations of project reports, I'm not concerned whether or not a particular solution or recommended by a team is showing loss or profit. I do hope that during the course of moving from project 1 to project 2, or project 2 and project 3, when you're doing comparisons, that you're showing improvement. Improvement is what the real name of the game is. And some people are able to break into profitability with project 2. Some happens in project 3. Others, they've worked the whole first 7 weeks or so of the class and they've never broken into profitability. But that's not a basis for my evaluation. I'm not looking at the percentage saying, oh, this team did better than another. I'm not comparing results from one team to the next. It's all individual learning and group learning. Again, I want to stress that I'm focusing on, for a team, if they can show what the results were from project 1 to project 2, and then project 2 to project 3, they're showing improvement. That is the best path towards exceeding expectations. So that covers those 2 parts. Do you have any questions about JSOL, about the strengths, threats, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats, SWOT, SWOT analysis?
No, I don't. But I do have a question, and I'm not sure if you will be willing to disclose it. um, for typically speaking, for gross profit, the percentages, what do you typically see for project one? Do you usually see like a negative number or a positive number? Because I've been following along, and and I just got negative 19.54. I don't know if I'm so far left field with the
You're doing
simulations that I
fine. You're doing fine. The general expectation, as I mentioned, it's all over the map. And first, one of the things about simulations that everybody needs to recognize, you start out with the same model. Everybody starts out with the same model. Then, as they go through iterations to make changes, every model results is going to be different. There's almost an infinite number of possibilities for how you adjust and come up with a solution to reach the 30 days of simulation. And the other thing that I'm not looking at, I don't regard it as success if one person made it to only 30 days and somebody else made it to 45 days. It's not a consideration. In fact, I consider anything more than once you reach something above 30 days, stop. You need to not continue trying to make it even better than that. Because the reality in supply chain management is during the course of a year, this 30-day period is basically a month. And as we all know, in supply chains and in business, there's seasonality. There's also weather conditions that impact the effectiveness of your supply chain. In the winter, you get summer droughts. I know summer droughts. You get snowstorms, and you get roads that are blocked and so on like that. Trucks are late. The summer, you can also have situations where everybody's going to the beach and your truck is stuck in the middle of traffic and is delayed by 10 hours because of a wreck on the highway. There's all sorts of different things that are going to cause a company in reality to look at 30-day horizons. It may be a rolling horizon, rolling 30 days, but they basically look at a 30-day period and try to get the best possible solution for that, taking into account that, maybe for Cincinnati Seasonings, cookout time in the summer is their big season, not Christmas, or the winter holiday season. And so, demand varies and the production may have to change. So these are all things why 30 days is really the right number. Don't try to focus on trying to go beyond 30 days. Just get to 30 days and maybe a little bit beyond it. And then because you're going to be trimming off that data anyway. I don't mind divulging to you. You had that curiosity. Almost every team and every member of a team is going to find a negative percentage. It's going to be different. You'll get in your team with the expectation that 3 people do 3 different simulations, that net profit or gross profit percentage is going to be different for each of the 3 people. One may be minus 22%. Somebody else might be 19%, like you, I think, said you had. Somebody else might come up with minus 10%. They're all losses, but you're going to take the smallest loss and go forward with that. But the other learning part is discussing with your team, why are your differences significant? What did one person do? Because there's takeaways that you can learn where somebody else learned to adjust the transportation routes, or somebody else learned to adjust the space to try to keep that graph, as I mentioned, as level as possible, that you're going to apply for the later projects. So, there's really a lot to discuss within the team um, that goes beyond just say, oh, well, we'll take this one, we'll write up a little quick 5-page report, and we're done with project one. The role learning is going to come with the discussion and interaction and thinking about why the differences are there. What's no solution is necessarily the best in its entirety. No solution is necessarily the worst in its entirety. And you may even decide that you want to pick and choose parts from all three and do a new simulation and see if that's even better than what the three of you individually came up with. But I'll leave that to the team. But that's when, as I used to say in a tire commercial, that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's, in my opinion, is where real learning is going to take place for understanding a supply chain. So the SWOT analysis is pretty straightforward. I want people to recognize that when you get into project 2 or project 3, it may not specifically state a SWOT analysis. I really think that a SWOT analysis needs to be included for each of those 2 projects. And that's because whenever you make a change to the network, you're changing the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. And I've got the letters reversed, but so what? It's 7 o'clock at night. And then also too, when you get to a later stage, looking at barrier and aids, barriers to improvement, aids that will help you facilitate improvement, discussing those. These are all things that if you put it, the more you put into the project report, not only is it the guide to a better grade, but it's really the guide towards really thinking through what are the elements of a supply chain that you have to address. And it's going to serve you well during your career or whatever direction you take, either in your present career or future career. So, do you have any other questions there, JSOL, or any other comments?
No, that's all I have at this time. It's only been a week. I haven't gotten too far deep into this course, the other than up till the discussion post. So I'm sure I'll have other questions at a later date and time. But for today, I don't have anything.
That's fine.
Yeah, I did take this opportunity to follow along, so that was very helpful.
Well, and also too, your online user guide is always going to be your best guide. They're short. I will ask Ben if you go back to the online user guide, just show where some of the online short videos are. You get into a problem like you're trying to increase store capacity or add a transportation route or any such thing as that. There are essentially, ready-made things that you can look at to guide you through those steps. And of course, then if you get into something more complex, then you can ask me or you can ask other teammates in the discussion. Before you do that, Ben, one other thing I want to mention too is after you show this, show them the known bugs. Because there are some things that in any software application, there's always something that doesn't work quite the way one would expect. And also there's a thing called the butterfly effect that's built into the model. It's important for you to understand that as well as anybody else watching this video. So back to the short little videos, I guess.
Got it. Yeah. So again, the online guide, you can open it from the help button. If you scroll down, you will see pretty much anything that has to do with SCM Globe. If you'd like videos, you can click on Getting Started. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see all the different steps from activating your accounts to some videos, tutorials, as Frank mentioned, you don't need to worry about creating a supply chain from scratch. You have some tutorial about supply chain simulations in general, case studies. And so you can click on any of them and watch the videos. They're in both video and text form. So the videos are embedded within the text. As for the bugs, if you click on, let's go back. If we look for FAQs on the online guide, let's just click on FAQs. You'll find first of all any sort of question that you might, any sort of issue, or most of your questions were probably asked a lot of times. So we just put 7 common questions that we get a lot, and you can just see the answer for them over here. And if you scroll down a bit, you'll see just a couple of bugs, 3 bugs that we're aware of that we are working on fixing them, but for now we have a workaround for each of them. These are honestly fairly rare. We almost never hear of people encountering these bugs, but because we've seen them in the past, we put a workaround for them in here, and we try to be very direct about talking about these issues until we get them sorted out. So you'll find all of this in the FAQs.
Okay, the side menu there on the right, there's one tab that says butterfly effect.
Yes, there is.
It's up right
There
there.
you go. So the butterfly effect. This is an effect that's not just pertaining to logistics and supply chains. There's a famous movie called The Butterfly Effect as well. And this is also why we showed you how to do how to save states, because very minor changes might have major effects on your supply chain. You might be able to run your simulation for 28 days, and then you just budged your inventory space, or just budged a little bit on your delay between departures, on your frequency of deliveries. Maybe you increase the amount of delivery by just 1 unit, and suddenly your simulation crashes for some reason. Because that 1 unit was the difference between 0 units right after that delivery and negative, which is impossible units in the origin facilities. So if you do encounter this, if you do get to 29 days and you suddenly have a major crash in your supply chain, it's not running, it's running for 0 days suddenly, or 5 days, and you feel like you went back in time. If you remember what you've done, what the last change that you've made is, just change it back to what it was, and try to make changes gradually. Don't make 5 or 10 changes at a time. Do things gradually and run it and see what each specific change makes. Because if you make 10 different changes at the same time and then run your simulation, you might not even understand what it is that you did that broke it. And the second advice is to, if you're gonna make several changes at a time, or a change that you're not sure if you're gonna be able to undo, make save states and put the time and date in the title, in the name of them, so you can, if you somehow break your model beyond repair, you can just restore your save state and go back to where you were before you made that major error. And you can read all about it in the butterfly effect from the online guide. It will be on the right side of the screen under supply chain modeling and simulation logic.
All right. I mentioned that EOQ.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put this in the chat window for a second and let you take a look at it. Maybe it'll prompt where things are. Come on, let's get there. Okay. Try clicking on that and see what you think about that. Okay,
Yes.
that's where the EOQ is on this one.
Mm-hmm.
right down
So yeah,
here.
you can find it in supply chain modeling and simulation logic under supply chain optimization and reporting templates.
So that's different than the three-store template. Is that correct?
Yes, that should be correct.
Okay, so
Yes.
you do this separately.
Hmm.
So,
Correct.
Jason and anybody else watching this, my suggestion is, I don't know if that link that I just posted into the chat box is correct or can be seen, but if you've got it highlighted there on the template, it says supply chain optimization and reporting template. That's where it is in the online guide. So look for it there. And when I start asking you about economic order quantity, that's really the shortcut. If you figure out the economic order quantity for a facility, you've gone a long way towards determining what the lowest cost solution for operating a particular facility is. Any other questions from our live audience?
No, no questions for me. Uh, I'm, I guess maybe I'm just a little lost here. Is this just a different link to get to the reporting templates?
Well, go back up to the top one there, Ben. You see at the top, scroll down a little more. See that that is also got the gross profit percentage on there, but then it's got added lines for the economic order quantity for each of the three stores. So, as an alternative, Jay, so you can run that and then you can look at those and compare the numbers there with what's being received at your stores. So, what happened was, just so that you understand the progression here, SCM Globe has evolved over time. When it first was developed, it did not have any of the reporting templates. Then they came up with the reporting template that we initially discussed, and then maybe a year or two ago they actually came up with economic order quantity, because I know I was having to provide instructions on what numbers to use off of the dashboard to calculate an economic order quantity manually. But SCM Globe staff picked up on that and went ahead and integrated that into the optimization. So, um, for project one, you can run that and look at the economic order quantity, but certainly when you get to project two or project three, especially project three, when you're trying to optimize your supply chain, you can drop back and use this particular spreadsheet. I'm not expecting people to go back and redo the work.
Okay, understood. So if project one, we could use the spreadsheet that we had navigated to earlier for the three stores, and then for project three, we're looking at economic. I forget what the word you just used was. Using this template.
Yeah, now, one thing, Ben, so this has three stores. I'm not sure if there's also a different one that has five stores. Um, you know, I what you may want to, if there's not one for five stores, you may have to add two columns to it
Yeah.
and rename the stores. The formulas will carry forward. The formulas are basically the same, but you may have to. Most people are probably better at Excel than I am. I can guarantee that. Or as they say down in Louisiana, I guarantee. So, somebody who's really accomplished with Excel, you should be able to copy the formulas that are in column. Man, that's so small, I can't read it. But G, no, P, I don't know. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You could, I suppose, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, you could copy the formulas and add a column H and a column I and name those columns for the other two stores.
Yeah, you might have to check that the formulas are drawing from the correct fields, but it should work. Yes.
So anyway, somebody on the team who really knows a little bit more about Excel than I do could probably work on that. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover, and I'm pleased that you were able to call in, Jason. And Ben, as always, I appreciate your time.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions before we wind up?
None. Well, I'm the only one here, but none from me.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, I'm about to give you back about 5 minutes on your day and say goodnight to Ben. And tomorrow's every one of these is different because it's not scripted, and what we talk about tomorrow may be getting into more getting people up to speed with being able to log in and get over some of the simulation humps. But since you got there, no need to occupy your time with that. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to turn off my recording and then we're going to say goodnight for now and good luck in the class. And I'm so very glad that you were able to call in tonight. And Ben, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.